You thought they didn't care. You thought their distance meant indifference. You thought their silence meant they had no desire for you. But the truth is, the avoidant has secret longings they will never openly admit. Hidden desires, buried cravings, a pull they feel toward you, even when they're running away. And if you touch those hidden desires, they come closer, closer than even they thought possible. Not because they planned to, not because they wanted to lose control, but because something deep within them was stirred, a need they cannot deny, the desire to feel safe in love. Every avoidant lives with a hidden contradiction. On the surface, they look independent, self-sufficient, like they don't need anyone. But beneath that hard shell, they long for safety and love. Not the kind of safety you find in routines, not the safety of politeness or distance, but the raw safety of knowing, I can be fully myself with you, and you won't leave. This is their first secret desire. The avoidant wants to feel safe, but they fear the very thing that creates safety, closeness. They crave intimacy, and yet run from it. They want connection, and yet push it away. It's not because they don't feel, it's because they feel too much. The avoidance nervous system is wired in survival. They learned long ago that closeness can equal pain, that trusting someone too deeply might mean being abandoned, that showing too much need might make them unlovable. So when you step into their life with warmth, when you show patience instead of pressure, when you create a space where they can breathe without judgment, you awaken something powerful inside them. You give them the one thing they secretly desire, the safety to be imperfect, to stumble, to reveal their true heart. And the moment they sense this, they edge closer, not always in words, not always in grand gestures. Sometimes it's just the way they sit nearer than usual, the way they let their hand brush yours, the way they linger in conversation, instead of disappearing. To the outside world, it looks small, but for them, it is everything. The avoidant desires safety because safety feels like freedom. Freedom from pretending, freedom from masks, freedom from the exhausting performance of distance. When you offer this unspoken safety, you bypass their defenses. You don't just become someone they like. You become the person they feel tethered to. And this tether is not built on control, but on trust, not on neediness, but on quiet presence. This is why the avoidant, despite running, keeps circling back to you, because something about you touches that first hidden longing, not to be chased, not to be impressed, but to be safe. And when they feel safe, they lean in, even if just for a moment. But here's the paradox. The safer they feel, the more terrifying it becomes, because safety means they might finally let you in. Safety means they might have to admit how much you matter. Safety means they risk losing the control that keeps them untouchable. So what happens? They move closer then retreat. They warm up then freeze. They open their heart then slam it shut again. And this is where so many people misread the avoidant. They think, if they really wanted me, they wouldn't pull away. If they really cared, they wouldn't go cold. But the truth is, the very fact that they pulled close enough to retreat reveals that you touched their secret desire. It's not rejection, it's proof. Proof that your presence is disarming their armor. The avoidant is not chasing casual attention. They're not chasing flattery. They're not chasing surface-level validation. What they secretly desire, and what makes them come closer, is a love that feels like safety. The question is, can they trust it? Can they stay in it? Can they let it soften them without running? That is the hidden battlefield inside every avoidant. And that's why, when you notice their sudden distance after a moment of closeness, you must remember, you didn't imagine the warmth. It was real. They just didn't know how to hold it yet. Because the avoidant's first and deepest desire is not passion, not excitement, not even romance. It is safety. And when they feel it with you, they come closer, even if only for a breath, even if only in silence. The desire to be truly seen. Safety pulls them closer, but it is only the beginning. Because once the avoidant feels safe with you, another secret desire begins to rise. The desire to be seen. Not seen the way the world sees them. Not seen as competent, independent, or fine on their own, but seen for who they really are. The tender parts, the fragile parts, the child inside them that never felt enough. Avoidants were masks. Masks of strength, masks of control, masks of indifference. The world often praises them for these masks. You're so strong. You never let anything get to you. You don't need anyone. But deep down, this praise feels hollow, because it praises the armor, not the soul. It celebrates the performance, not the truth. What they secretly desire is to be known beneath the mask, to have someone notice their silence and still hear their heart, to have someone sense their distance and still feel their longing, to have someone say, "I see you," even when you try to disappear. This is why the avoidant often seems drawn back to you, even after pulling away, because when you notice what others miss, you awaken that second hidden desire, the desire to be seen, not as who they pretend to be, but as who they are beneath the pretending. And this is terrifying for them, because to be seen means to be vulnerable, and vulnerability feels like exposure. Exposure feels like danger. So again, you'll see the push and pull. They lean in when they feel seen, then retreat when it feels too much. But the fact that they leaned in at all reveals that you touched the core of their longing. Think of it like this. For the avoidant, life often feels like living behind glass. They can see everyone else. They can hear laughter, connection, love, but they feel separated by an invisible wall. Most people never try to look past that wall. They only interact with the mask on the outside. But then, someone like you comes along. Someone patient. Someone attuned. Someone who doesn't just react to the mask, but looks beyond it. And for the first time, the avoidant feels something stirring. A desire they thought they buried. The desire to be truly seen. But here's the paradox. When you see them too deeply, they panic, because their nervous system doesn't yet know the difference between being seen with love and being exposed to harm. So they run, they ghost, they go cold, not because they don't crave you, but because they crave you too much. And craving feels dangerous. It feels like losing control. This is the hidden meaning behind their mixed signals. Every time they come close, they are saying, "Part of me wants you to see me." Every time they run, they are saying, "Part of me is terrified that you really do." If you've ever noticed the avoidance study you quietly, as if they're memorizing your face. If you've ever caught them watching you when you weren't looking. If you've ever felt the weight of their silence, as if words were stuck in their throat. That was the desire to be seen trying to break through. They want you to know them, but they don't know how to show you. So their actions become confusing. Hot, then cold. Present, then absent. Connected, then distant. It's not that they don't care. It's that they care more than they know how to handle. To be seen is the deepest human longing. But for the avoidant, it is also the deepest human fear. Because being seen means being found. And being found means risking abandonment. If you truly see them, and then leave, it would confirm their greatest wound. I am unlovable as I really am. This is why avoidants often sabotage when things get too real. Not because they don't desire you, but because they desire you so much. They fear losing you before they can even trust the connection. But here's the secret most people never realize. The avoidance distance is not just about pushing you away. It is also about testing. Will you still see me, even if I disappear? Will you still hold space for me, even if I run? Will you still care, even when I make it hard? They long for someone strong enough to see past the defenses and still believe in the heart beneath. When you do this, you awaken the desire that keeps them tied to you. They may never say it. They may never write it. They may never openly confess it. But deep inside, they are pulled back by one thought. You see me in a way no one else ever has. And that thought keeps them from forgetting you. So when the avoidant comes closer, when they let you in for even a breath, remember what it means. It means you touched the second secret desire, the one they never admit, the one they try to bury, the desire to be seen, truly, deeply, without masks. And when they feel it, even for a fleeting moment, it changes them, because being seen is how the avoidant learns that maybe love is possible after all. The desire to be accepted without conditions. Being seen awakens something in them. But seeing alone is not enough, because many avoidants have been seen before. But what came after hurt them? They were seen, but then judged. They were seen, but then rejected. They were seen, but then abandoned. So the next secret desire emerges. The desire to be accepted, without conditions. To the avoidant, love has often felt conditional. Conditional on being strong. Conditional on being useful. Conditional on not needing too much. They learned early. If I show my true feelings, it will be too much. If I depend on someone, I will be left. If I want too deeply, I will be punished. So they trained themselves to offer only what they thought was safe. Help, support, competence, care for others. But not their raw self. Not their fear. Not their tears. Not their longing. That's why acceptance, real acceptance, feels like water to their desert. Imagine living your whole life, believing that your softness is a burden. And then imagine meeting someone who doesn't flinch when you show it, who doesn't shame you for being unsure, who doesn't walk away when you're complicated. For the avoidant, this is almost unthinkable, yet it's what they secretly long for most. This desire explains so much of their push-pull behavior. When they sense you may accept them fully, they inch closer. They test it. They reveal small pieces of their truth. But if you react with frustration or demand more too quickly, their wound lights up. They retreat. They armor back up. Not because you did something wrong, but because acceptance is foreign to them. They don't trust it yet. Here's the paradox. They crave acceptance more than anything, yet they also resist it more than anything. Because if you accept them and then leave, the pain would be unbearable. It would confirm the story they've carried for years. I can only be loved if I hide who I am. So instead of risking that, they withdraw before you can see too much. This is why they sometimes seem coldest, right after you were warmest. It's not rejection of you. It's fear of what your acceptance might mean. Think back to moments you've had with them. The time they admitted something vulnerable. The time they said, "I'm not good at this," with a half smile. The time their voice cracked and they quickly changed the subject. Those were not accidents. Those were hidden offerings. They were saying, "Here is a piece of me. Will you still want me if I hand it to you?" And if you held it gently, if you didn't turn away, a bond was formed inside them, whether they admitted it or not. But here's where it gets even deeper. The avoidant doesn't just desire acceptance from you. They desire to learn how to accept themselves. And often, the way you respond to their truth becomes the mirror in which they see their own worth. If you recoil, they think, "See, I knew I was too much." If you stay steady, they think, "Maybe I am not as unlovable as I believed." This is why your role feels so powerful and sometimes so heavy, because without knowing it, you are carrying a mirror to their soul. But let's be clear, acceptance does not mean tolerating harm. It does not mean excusing disrespect. It does not mean silencing your own needs. Real acceptance is not about erasing yourself. It's about saying, I see who you are beneath the armor, and I don't run from it. But I also need to be seen too. When acceptance is mutual, it becomes the healing the avoidant has been longing for. Why do they keep coming back to you? Why do they struggle to forget you, even when they run? Because when you showed acceptance, even in small ways, you touched the part of them that never stopped hoping it was possible. You gave them a glimpse of a love that didn't demand perfection, that didn't require performance, that didn't vanish when things got hard. And once they feel that, they can't unfeel it. It lingers. It echoes. It calls them back. Here's a truth that explains their contradictions. The avoidant wants to be accepted, but they don't know how to believe it. So they will test you, pulling away to see if you'll follow, going silent to see if you'll hold steady, acting indifferent to see if you'll still care. Every confusing behavior is rooted in this question. If you see the real me, will you stay? And sometimes, they even push you to the edge. They may trigger fights, say cold words, or distance themselves for weeks. It's not because they enjoy the conflict. It's because they want to know, will you still be here? When I am hardest to love, they long for someone to say, yes, even then. But again, the paradox returns. If you say it too strongly, they fear suffocation. If you don't say it enough, they fear rejection. This is the tightrope of loving and avoidant. And it is exhausting, but it also reveals how deep their hidden desires run. Acceptance is what begins to melt their fear. When they realize you are not demanding they change overnight. When they realize you are not judging their wounds. When they realize your care does not vanish at the first sign of imperfection, they slowly soften. And in that softening, they feel something unfamiliar. Safety, belonging, love. Not the love that is earned, not the love that is performed, but the love that says, you are enough, even when you are not perfect. This is why they never forget you. Because for the avoidant, acceptance is rare. And when they taste it, they cling to it, even in silence. They may not text. They may not call. They may not confess. But in their heart, they replay the moments when they felt accepted by you. And those moments keep them tethered. Even when they're far, they are not gone. Even when they're cold, they are not empty. They are wrestling with the secret desire that keeps pulling them back. The desire to be accepted without conditions. The desire to belong without losing themselves. For the avoidant, belonging has always been dangerous because belonging came with a cost. When they were young, to belong meant to obey. To belong meant to shrink. To belong meant to erase their needs. So the connection would not be withdrawn. They learned quickly, if I want love, I must lose myself. So they grew up choosing the opposite. I'll keep my independence. I'll keep my freedom. I'll keep my walls, even if it means I walk alone. But walking alone does not silence the longing. Deep inside, they want what every human heart wants. To feel like home exists in someone else. To feel they can lean without being controlled. To feel they can rest without disappearing. The secret is, they do want to belong, but they want to belong without losing themselves. This is the inner war they live with every day. One part of them whispers, stay close. This person makes you feel alive. Another part shouts back, careful. If you let them too close, you'll lose your freedom. You'll lose yourself. So they go back and forth. They run, then return. They push, then pull. It isn't about you. It's about the war inside them. To love an avoidant is to understand this war. It's not that they don't want you. It's that they want you without reliving their old story. The old story that says, if you belong to someone, you must sacrifice yourself. But secretly, they hope for a new story, one where they can be both, connected and free, together and whole. Have you noticed how avoidants often guard their routines, their space, their time, their independence? It's not because they don't care about you. It's because those things symbolize safety to them. In their mind, if they lose their space, they lose themselves. So when someone comes close and says, share everything with me, tell me everything, let me into every corner of your world, they panic. Not because they don't want to share, but because sharing feels like vanishing. And yet, this is the very thing they long for. Not the vanishing, but the belonging. To know they can open their world without losing control of it. To know they can lean on you without being swallowed. To know they can say, I need you, without that need being used against them. That's why their love often looks contradictory. They text you late at night, then disappear in the morning. They hold you close in one moment, then act distant the next. They share their secret dreams, then change the subject as if it meant nothing. It confuses you. It breaks your heart. It makes you question your worth. But in truth, these contradictions are not about rejection. They are tests, experiments, ways of asking, can I belong with you and still be me? Belonging is not foreign to them. They've belonged before, but in the past, belonging meant being controlled. Belonging meant their feelings didn't matter. Belonging meant love was given only when they were convenient. That's why they now fear belonging, as much as they crave it. But when they meet someone different, someone who doesn't demand they erase themselves, something shifts. They test the waters. They reveal a little more. They risk showing the side of them they usually keep hidden. And when they realize you don't demand ownership, you don't demand control, you don't demand they surrender their freedom, that's when they soften. That's when the chase begins. Because you have given them something rare, a taste of belonging without chains. For an avoidant, this is not just attractive, it's magnetic. It's unforgettable. Think of the times they came closer to you. Was it when you begged them to stay? Or was it when you gave them space, yet your presence still felt steady? Was it when you tried to prove your worth? Or was it when you simply existed as yourself, showing them you weren't asking them to disappear? The answer is always the same. They move closer when they feel they can belong, without losing themselves. And this explains why avoidants often chase the people who feel both near and free, not the ones who demand, not the ones who cling, not the ones who pressure, but the ones who say, I'm here, but I'm whole without you too. To the avoidant, this balance feels safe. It means the connection won't become a prison. It means love won't erase them. The tragedy is, they often realize this too late. They may run, thinking distance will protect them. But when they're away, they feel the emptiness. They feel the lack of belonging. They feel the ache of being unseen. And suddenly, the memory of you becomes powerful. Because with you, they didn't just feel attraction. They felt home. A home that didn't demand. They give up who they are. That's why they come back. Not because they can't find anyone else. Not because they enjoy games, but because you represented the very thing their nervous system has longed for and feared at the same time, belonging, without losing themselves. This is the hidden meaning behind their behavior. When they pull away, they're protecting themselves. When they return, they're chasing what they can't let go of. It is not that they don't care. It's that they care so much. They fear it will consume them. And yet, they can't stop desiring the one thing they swore they didn't need: to belong deeply, to belong freely. to belong and still remain themselves. So if you've ever wondered why they keep running back, why they can't seem to cut the cord, why their behavior feels so full of contradictions, this is the reason. They are searching for the place where love and freedom meet. And when they sense that with you, they will never truly forget it. The desire to be loved without fear. Fear has always been the shadow behind their love. It doesn't show at first. You see someone strong, self-contained, independent, but beneath that calm exterior is a nervous system wired for defense, a heart that has learned. Love means danger. Love means loss. Love means pain. Why? Because in their earliest memories, love wasn't safe. Love was inconsistent. Love was conditional. Love sometimes vanished the moment they reached for it. So they built walls. Walls that say, I don't need you. I'm fine alone. I'm untouchable. But those walls are not truth. They're survival. The truth is, they want to be loved more than anything. But they want to be loved without fear, without the fear of being abandoned, without the fear of being smothered, without the fear of being seen as too much or not enough. This is why their behavior feels so contradictory. They move toward you because they want the warmth. Then they move away because the warmth awakens fear. To you, it looks like rejection. To them, it feels like survival. Imagine holding fire in your hands. The fire gives light. The fire gives warmth. But hold it too long, and it burns. That is how love feels. To the avoidant, they long for it, but they fear being consumed by it. And yet, the more they run from love, the more they crave it. Because the human heart was not built for walls. The human heart was built for connection. So even in their distance, they ache for closeness. Even in their silence, they miss your voice. Even in their avoidance, they are watching, measuring, waiting, wondering if maybe this time, love can feel safe. This is the secret of the avoidant chase. They don't come closer when you demand. They don't soften when you pressure. They don't open when you force. They come closer when they sense love without fear. Love that doesn't punish them for needing space. Love that doesn't collapse the moment they take a step back. Love that doesn't try to control, but simply exists. Steady, patient, true. And when they feel this, something changes. The walls don't vanish instantly, but cracks appear. And through those cracks, their deepest desire emerges. To love fully, without the shadow of fear. Think of the moments they surprised you. The unexpected tenderness. The rare but powerful confessions. The glance that lingered too long. Those were not accidents. Those were glimpses of the love. They keep locked away. Because for a moment, fear loosened its grip, and desire spoke louder. The desire to be known. The desire to be held. The desire to give their love freely, without worrying it will be rejected, mocked, or abandoned. But here is the paradox. They cannot experience this kind of love unless they risk, unless they slowly lower the shield, unless they step into vulnerability. And that terrifies them, because to the avoidant, vulnerability once meant danger. So if you've ever seen them retreat after a moment of intimacy, understand this. It's not that the intimacy meant nothing. It meant everything. So much that it scared them. When the avoidant hurts you, pulls away, goes silent, or acts cold, it's not because they want to destroy love. It's because they are terrified of what love could destroy in them. Their safety, their stability, their fragile balance. But when they meet someone who loves without chains, who stays without clinging, who sees their fear without judgment, they begin to trust. Slowly, carefully, but surely. And that trust is the beginning of transformation. For the avoidant, to love without fear is the ultimate desire. More than passion, more than romance, more than intensity. They want safety. They want consistency. They want to know that if they open the door, love will not punish them for being who they are. That is why some avoidants never forget the one person who made them feel safe enough to try, even if they left, even if they couldn't stay, even if their fear won the first battle. They never forget the one who showed them love without fear, because in that connection, they glimpsed the life they secretly longed for: to belong, to love, to be loved, and to remain free. This is the hidden meaning behind why they chase. It's not about games. It's not about power. It's not about manipulation. It's about desire. A desire so human, so tender, and yet so guarded. The desire to finally rest in love, without fear. So if you've ever been close to an avoidant and wondered why they run, why they return, why they contradict themselves, this is why. They are searching for something rare. A love that feels like freedom, a closeness that doesn't smother, a bond that doesn't break. And when they sense it, they can't let it go. Because for them, this isn't just attraction, it's healing. And so, when you see them pull away, remember, they are not rejecting love. They are fighting fear. And the ones who understand this, the ones who show love can exist without fear, are the ones who leave the deepest mark on the avoidant's heart forever. And if you've ever loved an avoidant, you know it isn't simple. It's not linear. It's not easy. It's not what the movies show us. But it's real, and it leaves a mark. Because in the end, their contradictions are proof. Not that they don't care, but that they care more than they know how to show. So if this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who has loved through silence, through distance, through confusion, because they deserve to know they are not alone. And if you want more truths about the hidden heart of the avoidant, subscribe, stay with me, and let's keep uncovering together what they could never put into words.